Hello, everyone, and a big welcome to the very first edition of The Studio. It's great to see that so many of you are able to join us here today. We have about 30 minutes ahead of us, lots of exciting topics to cover, and we will end with a short Q&A. Any questions you may have, please post them into our chat. So let's kick this off. We start together with our CPO, Andrea Fuder, on current state of affairs. Welcome to you, Andrea.
Hi, Linn.
So we're almost halfway into 2022. What's top of your mind right now?
People. People are top of my mind. For sure, we have had many business challenges in the last years. But first and foremost, it has affected people, and it still does.
And can you elaborate a bit on that?
Well, we have all witnessed in media the terrible human suffering due to the Ukraine war, and we can only hope that this war comes to an end soon and families and people in the Ukraine live again in a safe environment, and that really businesses, cities, infrastructure will recover from the devastating effect of the war. And it's the same with the pandemic. Its effect on people is terrible. It's about your own health. It's about the health of your loved ones. But I can see one positive thing. People matter, and people have always been priority one, and this is exactly how it has to be.
I couldn't agree more, of course. And what about from a business perspective, Andrea?
Well, due to the pandemic, the war, weather events, of course, we are in a crisis task force mode now since almost 2 years, and people work super hard 24/7 and try to mitigate every situation. And we do this together with our supply partners. But what I can also see that people want to deliver our product to the customer. It's more than a job. It is purpose, because transport is the lifeblood of society.
And based on our learnings, what can we now do to build an even stronger business moving forward?
I think we do this in a very good way, and we have to continue to do it as one team in a good collaboration. But of course, we also have to take the lessons of this crisis so that we come out even stronger. We have to build more resilient supply networks, more diversified, more balanced, and we have to avoid geographical concentrated tech hubs.
And speaking of strong business results, Volvo Group posted a really good first quarter. What's your comment on that?
Yes, we did. We had a strong Q1 this year, but this was only possible because of our great collaboration with our supply partners. And I would really like to take the opportunity to thank you all for your tireless efforts, and please forward our gratitude to all your team members.
And looking ahead a bit, can you comment anything on the remainder of this year and also into 2023?
What we can see now, Linn, is that the second half 22 and also 23, it looks very strong. We have a very strong order book. We don't see cancellations. And also from the data from our connected vehicles, we see that the usage rate is very high. But on the other side, of course, we know that there are many clouds on the sky. Inflation, interest rate increase, geopolitical crisis, cyber attacks, disruptive weather events because of climate change. And of course, the pandemic is also not over. So the only way forward is to stay in close touch, to communicate with each other as early and as transparent as possible.
Thank you so much, Andrea. That's super clear. And now we will talk more about resiliency together with Dave Peters. Now, Dave, we're so happy that you can join us from the US. We've just heard Andrea's reflections on resiliency. And before we get your comments on that, let me start by asking you, what do we mean when we talk about a resilient supply network?
Well, first of all, thanks, Lynn, for the welcome. I'm excited to be here to discuss this very important topic today. When we talk about a resilient supply network, we essentially mean we must take steps to move from reactive to proactive mitigation of supply chain challenges together with our supply partners. How do we get there? We do not necessarily have all the answers for that today, but by engaging with our suppliers as well as our internal stakeholders, we will work on that together.
So, Dave, what does this mean on globalization versus localization? Are we seeing the end of globalization?
I think that's a very valid question, but my answer really is it depends. From a supply network perspective, we do not say it is ending, but rather it must evolve. We need to ensure we leverage globalization by improving further our transparency and collaboration. For example, how do we better utilize resources spanning across the globe, as well as how do we manage our raw material and our tier end suppliers? Now, let me go back briefly to comment on what Andrea had stated earlier. Andrea is totally right. We have been through multiple challenges, from global supply chain shortages to logistics challenges, and all of these challenges have truly revealed that we have a fragile modern supply chain, and it really requires a global reset in the management of the supply networks to improve our resiliency and agility. Now more than ever, a new paradigm for a resilient supply network is necessary. In order for Volvo Group to work with our supply network for the long haul without reverting to our pre-pandemic practices, if you will. But again, I must highlight, we can only do this together, meaning the Volvo Group and our supply partners.
So thank you, Dave. And I've heard you talking about taking supply network resiliency to the next level. Can you elaborate on that, please?
Yes, of course. I think you're all aware we have a fantastic supply network that we work closely with on every single day of our lives. We are increasing redundancies and building flexibility by adopting standardizations in our processes together through the entire life cycle. That's why we've created a new department called Supply Network Resiliency and Project Management. That will ensure a robust and agile resilient supply network with our partners that creates resiliency over time. This also includes integration, transparency, and visibility, while developing agility and adapting to new business models. For example, we have a new tool we're about to launch, which is called Capsys. This will allow us to have better integration and transparency into our supply chain's capacity management.
Thank you, Dave. And what will be the key success factors to secure all of this?
Well, of course, we need to develop together even stronger relationships and mutual trust with our supply network. By working together, it is key on relying on the expertise and the engagement of not only our people, but our supply chain's people. And this we can do together, but we must never forget, we cannot ever compromise on our quality.
Thank you so much, Dave. Very insightful for sure. Let's now shift and focus on our transformation and future by giving you an insight into the work at Volvo Bus. Let's talk going electric with Anna Westerberg.
Welcome, Anna. It's so great to see you.
It's great to be here. Thank you.
Anna, you are president of Volvo Bus, and Volvo Bus is since years in electrification. I think starting 2010 with hybrid buses, right? How has the volume picked up since then?
I think we were very early out with electric buses, with our electromobility offering in Europe. So back in 2015, we introduced our first electric bus, and at that time we were the only one. Today, the situation is very different. Customer demand is increasing, and there's also a lot of competition. And the customer demand is very much driven now from cities recognizing the need to reduce emissions, bad air pollution, and to create a more attractive environment, a city environment.
Absolutely.
So for us, it's no longer about should you go electric, it's about should you go electric with Volvo.
When you say going electric with Volvo, what do you mean?
I mean, to choose us, of course, as the partner, right? And to take our solution when you decide to implement an electric bus system in a city, because it's really about implementing that system. It's not only the vehicle, it's about optimizing the charging setup, supporting services, the energy storage system on board, everything together. That's what we work with when we go in the city bus segment with our electromobility offering.
How does your typical electric customer look like?
In this city bus segment, we work with cities, with public transport authorities, public transport operators to ensure the best system solution. So today, for us at Buses, our typical electric bus customer is a city or an operator of a city. And it's also, this business is then a very much tender business, so it's for a large number of units, for a specific area in the city. It's a very clear traffic start date when the buses should be in operation, and if we don't deliver on that date, there's also a lot of penalties at stake normally.
Wow, so it sounds there is a tough competition. And how do you create in such an environment a competitive edge?
It is, and coming back to that whole system approach. But what we have learned over the years is, of course, we have to work very close to the customer. And here it's many different stakeholders involved. So it is about that total solution. So we have to understand the customer's operations, the conditions of the city, everything from climate, topography, the different routes, so we can recommend and optimize the best total solution.
So how does our supply partners can help you on this journey?
I mean, in many ways, of course. First of all, I want to say that we welcome very much a proactive and collaborative approach with our supply chain partners throughout the whole value chain. And that can go from having an open and transparent dialogue with the buyers and planners, coming back to what I said before on the traffic start date. I know there is lots of challenges now and uncertainties, but as much as possible, keep the communication going about risks or issues occurring so we can support each other. And we also welcome, of course, feedback. How can we improve? Very much believing in this. I do, that we are stronger together. So
we really need top-notch partners.
Yeah.
Anna, it was so great to talk to you. Thank you so much, and your team is doing such a great job.
Staying on the topic of transformation, let's now shift to Volvo Penta. Let's get the latest and greatest from Heléne Mellquist.
Welcome, Heléne. It's really great to see you.
Thank you very much, Andrea, and it's very nice to be here.
Heléne, you are the president of Volvo Penta. And Penta differs a little bit from all the other business areas we have at Volvo Group. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yes, I will do that. I mean, Volvo Penta is a group in the group. So we are developing, producing, and marketing engines and power solutions for marine and industrial applications. And I think that something that is unknown to very many people is that the industrial part has grown so much. So now it's 50-50 with the marine, actually. And we are selling more or less just engines, some say, but it's also solutions, of course, as well, from the helm to prop. But we are very dependent on our suppliers, because very often we are also tier one, as you know. And we also have exclusive contracts with our with our customers, which means that we are very depending on our suppliers to deliver on time and also with quality and everything.
I can imagine. I think the journey of Penta is very impressive, I have to say. So can you give perhaps some more concrete examples of specific applications you have at Penta?
Let's start with the marine and the marine leisure. I mean, you have the natural ones that we also look upon very much with the Volvo Penta brand, that is powerboats, sailboats, and also the yachts, of course. But then we also have marine commercial growing, and there you can see pilots, crew vessels, ferries, and a lot of other applications as well. And then let's go into the industrial. And on the industrial side, you have power gensets, of course, for many years. And then the new business that we built up, which is more material handling, where you have the terminal tractors, you have construction, stone crushers, for example, agriculture, you can have harvesters, and then special vehicles, you have fire trucks. And then the last but not least, that's really the mining trucks, where we also have a leading position.
My God, this variety is
Yes.
really huge.
You understand that, it's huge.
Heléne, let's now move to the future. Definitely innovation and sustainability is high on the agenda. What are your key messages to our supply partners in this area?
No, but let's pick three then that I would like to deliver here then. I think when it comes to innovation, Volvo Penta has a long heritage with innovations like the assisted docking, the IPS and the Aquamatic, and it's really important for us. And we will continue to do that when we develop services and products and solutions in the future as well. Another thing that is important for us is also time to market. We used to develop things and then launch them. Now it will be different. We will have another type of process where we will actually try new things, iterate them, come back and try a new thing. It's a bit of piloting, but not and also then gradually get the right and really successful solutions for our customers. And that is the same thing when it comes to services and also solutions on that side, because we will also use data and analytics and also find value for money for our customers in the service area as well. And the last but not least is of course the sustainability. And on the sustainability side, the customers, they expect us to take the lead and also bring them into the future when it comes to electromobility solutions or fuel cell solutions, or if they should have different type of alternative fuels. So all of this, they expect us to support them with.
So this really sounds great. So how does the future for Volvo Penta look?
It looks very good, and you know that 2021 was already very good, and then in 2022 it started very bright as well, and we see that there's a continuous high demand on the market with a high volume, so I think this will be good. And then we are able to continuously do investments into the transformation that we are into the new future as well, with our products, solutions, and also our services.
Sounds so fantastic, and you're doing such a great job with your team. Thank you so much for being here.
And we're back with another very important and current topic for all of us, cybersecurity. Fredrik, welcome to the studio.
Thanks a lot, Linn. Great to be here.
And you brought a guest?
Yes, I did. I brought our newly employed Business Information Security Officer, Nasser Nodehi.
Great to have you both here. Welcome. So, Fredrik, what's the latest on cybersecurity and why is it so important for us?
Well, a lot is happening in this area with many cyber threats and attacks globally. And from a Volvo Group perspective, we know that the risk is really increasing and that proactive work and protection is key. We all need to be aware. And it goes without saying that all companies are potential targets for these attacks, making harm to the business, and also our supply network is of course at risk. I should also say that we are dealing with a lot of sensitive and valuable business data together, and we need to protect these assets.
So Nasser, this is really your area of expertise. What can we do both at the Volvo Group but also at our supply partners to protect our business?
Well, within our own group, we need to establish a so-called cyber supply chain risk management program. We need to know, manage, and closely collaborate with our critical and key partners and when necessary, include them in important activities such as contingency planning and incident response. Cybersecurity is a shared responsibility. It's a collective effort. It's not the job of one team alone. And as such, the first step in achieving cyber resiliency is to be aware of the existing threats and, of course, to foster a cybersecurity culture. It goes beyond tools and processes. It's about the behavior among all of us.
And staying perhaps a bit on tools and methodologies, are there established standards to work from?
Yes, there are. For instance, we have the best practices and guidelines defined by NIST, National Institute of Standards and Technology. I'm also aware that we have already integrated cybersecurity requirements into our assessment tools and into our 2022 edition of Supply Partner Code of Conduct. A key part of all of these existing frameworks and best practices is that we need to proactively work with our supply partners. There's a saying in my line of work that security is only as strong as the weakest link in the chain. And that applies to our supply chain as well, meaning that we know that third actors out there are already trying to take advantage of the weakest link in the chain to target us.
Sounds really great. And Fredrik, perhaps back to you. What are we currently doing within Volvo Group in this important area?
First of all, we have an established way of dealing with cyber attacks involving purchasing, IT experts, but also group security. But I would say for us to succeed, it requires transparency and it requires speed from all of you, our supply partners.
Thank you so much to the both of you, Fredrik and Nasser, for being here. With that, we will move into the Q&A. So back with the Q&A, really exciting. Are the both of you ready for this?
Absolutely.
Yes, we are.
Fantastic. So we start with you, Andrea. You talked about localization versus globalization. Do we have a strategy to move towards local supply chains?
I think it depends. Linn, we definitely will see that especially final assembly activities are local. And this is, by the way, anyhow already our journey. But we also need to think in duplication, multiple sourcing strategies, and we have to think through the whole network. And here, globalization will stay, for sure.
Very clear. Fredrik, a question for you then. Has the Volvo Group experienced any cyber attacks so far?
I would say the easy answer is yes, of course. I would like to elaborate a bit more on that. As I said earlier, we are experiencing daily attacks, daily attempts to get hold of information, to make harm to our company. And if we look at the Volvo Group, we do have an established way of dealing with this as well, to find mitigation plans. So we are facing it on a daily basis. If we look outside the fence, so to say, and to our supply network, that is just as important for our customers. Here, we have also seen that there has been some incidents and so on that we have been able to deal with. But the simple answer is yes, we have seen attacks and we are mitigating them.
And staying on the topic of cybersecurity, how do you see that this will evolve in the next couple of years?
It will increase. That is what we're seeing. There is a trend, and also connecting back a little bit to what Dave was into, and also you, Andrea. We are more and more interlinked. So of course there is a vulnerability, and this also requires that we are transparent and working proactively together. So the risk is increasing, the attacks are increasing, and we need to work more and more together on it.
The preparedness is increasing as
Yeah,
well, I'm
absolutely. we will just need to tackle it and mitigate.
Absolutely.
And staying on being prepared, I have a question here for you, Andrea, which relates to the clouds on the horizons that you referred to earlier. Are we prepared and ready for what is to come here?
Of course, we try to be prepared, Linn, but like I said, at the moment there are many things threatening us at the same time, and we have to think about it a little bit item by item. So if we think about interest rate increase, for example, we have, of course, a financial expert team who is analyzing debt rate, for example, of our supply partners and proactively go into discussions when we see it is on a risky level. With the geopolitical issues, we establish multiple sourcing strategies. So there is not a one size fits all. We have really to take it item by item. But the key is that we have to do it together in close collaboration with our supply partners.
So communication and transparency that you mentioned earlier.
That's for me the base, Linn, for the success, our common success.
Very clear. Thank you so much to the both of you. And with that, we end the Q&A. That brings us to the end of this broadcast. If you feel like you've missed anything, do not worry. We have recorded the entire session and will share with you shortly. We're also in full swing preparation for our next studio, September 13th. Save the date. Invitations will follow. With that, I just want to thank you so much for joining our broadcast here today. Take care and stay safe wherever you are.